Welcome, affiliated listeners. We're going to have another quick minute here to discuss something I think is really important and a big issue that I can't tell you how many times I hear people talk about this, and actually something that I personally experience daily, and that's imposter syndrome. So for those of you who don't know what that means, it's anytime you feel like you're in a room, you're surrounded by people, and you feel like you don't belong there. You're not sure how you ended up there, but you're not smart enough, you're not skilled enough, you're not wealthy enough, successful enough, all things. You are just not enough. And all of a sudden, when you feel that I'm not enough, it becomes self-fulfilling, and you reserve and you pull back and you keep yourself from experiences of growth because you feel like you shouldn't be there in the first place. First, I want to tell you, you're not alone. If you're out there and you're hearing this and you think it's just me, I'm suffering, maybe that means that I'm not enough. That's not the case. Like, I struggle with this all the time, and it's something where I've been into rooms where, there's all these people that know so much more experience. I know that their bank accounts are a lot bigger than mine, and I start to feel really insecure, like, what am I doing here? When you're in that moment, you're really left with the decision to go to do two different things. You can do what I talked about before, which is just you reserve, you pull back, you let those insecurities keep you from having a conversation, and if you do talk to somebody, you're probably going to make them feel really uncomfortable because you don't engage. You're too careful with what you want to say. And when you do say something, it's not coming from a point of any confidence. And it makes people feel like, why is this person here? The self-fulfilling side. Or you can do what I've learned to do, which is first accept and embrace it. Lean into the fact that you feel like you're in a room that you do not belong in. But instead of looking at that as something that's anxious, look at that as an amazing opportunity. Because if you're in that room, that means that you're there. And even if you weren't supposed to be there, you could ask questions and you could learn. And you have to be bold enough to realize that you're in a room that's above your head, so you better start swimming. The best way to do that is just realize that these people and every single person, one of the universal things they love to do is talk about themselves. So that means you need to learn to love to ask them about themselves. Ask them questions. How did they get started in this business? What are they working on right now? What are they most excited about in their business? What's the thing that keeps them up at night? Those are huge questions to ask. And now all of a sudden, immediately you start contributing value to the room. And the value could be as simple as a good conversation and somebody that's willing to listen. I'm sure we've all been in situations, whether it's a date, a friendship, or a networking event, where it feels like all that somebody wants from you is to wait for you to shut up so they could start talking to you about what they want to say. It's a really challenging conversation. Networking can feel that way sometimes. So even at a base level, one of the biggest things you could bring to a room if you're feeling imposter syndrome is a really good listening ear. You're going to learn a ton, and they're going to end up feeling validated that somebody is interested in learning from them. That's one quick hack that you could do to start changing your imposter syndrome. The other more important thing is you need to sit down and start realizing that every single person has value. I don't care if it was, the high school dropout janitor that had no goals and he ended up in a war room with a bunch of millionaires. There is something that he knows and he has in his life that none of those millionaires understand. And if they heard, it would provide them value. I don't necessarily know what that is, but I'm going to tell you right now, one of the things that I do when I'm feeling imposter syndrome is I sit back and ask myself, what are the things that I know really well? What's the value I bring to the table? It's not always business. Sometimes it might be the fact that I know a lot about football, or that I've listened to this really interesting podcast that I think other people should listen to. It's something as simple as just a content recommendation. If somebody else really connects with that and it changes their life, you're a part of that change. Even as simple as just saying, I like this, right? So as a human, you have intrinsic value. You know things that other people don't know as much about, and they would like to learn more. Hold on to those things. Remember those things. And finally, wait till the time is right for you to exercise and share that value. And the last thing I would say with imposter syndrome fighting this is oftentimes we feel like we have to talk about what we have to talk about. We have to get ROI. And so when you're feeling a little bit imposter syndrome and you're in a situation that you need ROI, one of the best things to turn that around is switch from focusing on ROI for yourself and focusing on ROI for others. I like to call this value-led networking. So if you're in a situation, make sure you're just seeking at the beginning, who do I know? What are their problems? What kind of value could I give that person right away? And I kind of mentioned a connection's a big one. Maybe you don't know anything, but if you are connecting with others and learning from others, all of a sudden you're going to know other people that do know how to solve their problem. There's a ton of value in an introduction. Sometimes there's more value in an introduction than there is actually being the person to solve that problem. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to know a lot of people. So if you're feeling this imposter syndrome, 1, you're not alone. 2, start fighting against it. Remember that you have value, and also know that The easiest way to start getting that value to other people is just to talk to them, understand them, and position where that value could be placed and when it's going to be, make sense and really bring some change to their business through an introduction, through a content recommendation, through a laugh, through a friendship, right? All those things could be very valuable, and don't beat yourself up. Just start focusing and remembering you're valuable, and I'm going to share that every single time. Enjoy that for today. Have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to having another conversation later.